Welcome back. We're racing fast, strong, and steady to that finish line. We'll get there on top of the hour of 9 o'clock. But before, let's stop off and interact with some very special guests who are already on the flow video line. My very special guest this hour, Mrs. Sacha Pierre-James. She is the manager of the Employee Assistance Program being administered by the Ministry of the Public Service, and Mr. Robert Huggins. He's a counselor attached to the EAP as well. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thanks so much for being patient, and thanks for agreeing to come on.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
My pleasure. Let's start off with Lady, the Employee Assistance Program. Mr. Huggins, I'll come to you shortly, but let's just break the ice. I know you don't live with your head stuck in the clouds. We're all down to earth people. And we live in this small St. Lucia. So let's start off here and just break the ice a bit. Nurse Wilson was a public servant. How do you respond, firstly, to this untimely death?
Good morning, Shannon. Even before, and good morning, listeners. Again, thank you for having all of us. I would like to extend my sincere condolences to the family of Nurse Wilson and, of course, to her colleagues. It is a sad moment for not just the EAP unit, not just public servants, but I believe the entire country of St. Lucia. And for our unit, since we are tasked with providing psychological services to public officers and their immediate family members, of course, we are on board in providing the necessary support in the form of debriefing services to the deceased nurse's family as well as her colleagues. And the process has already started. I have to indicate that to you, Shannon. But of course, when we get such news, it's always very saddening to know that our country is in this current state of affairs.
Thanks for starting off there. Mr. Huggins, I know like many citizens, you too are distraught. You two are concerned and very worried following this incident and would like to pay your respects as well.
Yeah, I would like to just jump on what Mrs. James has said already and offer our condolences. One thing that I would say is grief can be very complicated. There are a lot of emotions that we be going through, not just sadness, which we often think is the primary thing. So for those who think that they need the support, they need to be able to manage and get some help to work through or process what's happening. Obviously, we can support them through the government program for those employed with government, and for those else, I encourage them to source that help out there. But ultimately, I just want to see that everyone is able to get the help that they need.
Thanks for that, Mr. Huggins. Let's start off with the head of the project. Madam, tell us about your mandate. I know you provide psychosocial, psychological support to public servants, but tell us about the program, the Employee Assistance Program. When did it start and what is its mandate really?
Okay, so first of all, the Employee Assistance Program unit, as you have highlighted, Shannon, is a unit under the Department of the Public Service, and the EAP unit started off in March of 2016. And our mandate is really to provide psychological services to public officers and their immediate family members. The EAP is a work-based intervention program that has been designed to enhance the professional work attitude of officers, and we do this by providing work-based interventions, as I would have indicated just a few moments ago, debriefing sessions, and any other psychological interventions. We are living in an era where mental health has to be a priority, and this forms part of our mandate.
Excellent. Mr. Huggins, we know some public servants, they work some long and stressful hours as well. Why is it important to have a program like this as a tool to provide assistance and support to those public officers?
Well, a lot of people don't really take time to practice what we call self-care. There's an attitude of I go to work basically from time to leave work is maybe I pick up the kids, I head home, And then it's a matter of dealing with chores and whatnot, but not really taking time to take care of themselves. People are very forward when it comes to taking care of themselves physically, but don't often, or rather, they often neglect to look at their psychological well-being, right? So this program exists as a reminder and as a tool for those that are out there to have that support. So it's not just about eating right and being physically well and whatnot, but putting your mind right as well. And that's why we exist.
Excellent. I will ask you in just a bit about some of the cases and some of what you've seen coming to you through the program. But Mrs. James, since 2016, what would you say has been the response to the program from public officers? And what are they saying? Are they really engaged in this sort of intervention?
Thank you for that question, Shannon. I am happy to indicate that the response has been quite encouraging thus far.
Excellent.
And when we would have initially started off in 2016, I can admit that perhaps we did not foresee that we would have had such a large number of public officers accessing the service. And our numbers have been increasing every single year. And I can share with you some of the responses that we've been getting.
Please
And
do.
we have a few testimonial booklets, but I'm just going to share just a few with you. Some of the responses are generally that the program is very confidential, very professional, it's immensely beneficial, and people are saying that it has been life-changing. And all of the testimonials that I've just shared with you and the rest of St. Lucia are actually from our testimonial booklets, and there are tons of others.
Excellent.
And I am really grateful that we have such a program because persons' lives are being changed, and each one can reach one, each one can touch one. So, in a nutshell, it has been very successful.
Excellent. So there is real evidence that the EAP is producing or is having an impact on a better public officer and a more productive officer, you think? Are you seeing such?
Definitely. Based on our evaluations, our reviews, our follow-ups, it does highlight that. So
Excellent.
we can see that, yeah.
Excellent. Good news. Mr. Huggins, let's come back to you and bring you back in here. What are some of the issues, what are some of the cases, the agenda items that public officers bring to you for intervention and for assistance?
Well, we provide interventions in terms of debriefing, etc., following critical incidents. For example, following the death of a member of staff, as in yesterday, and other incidents as such that people like in the emergency services may encounter and other staff in other departments. In addition, we provide support for personal issues, anything basically that can affect the public servant's ability to perform their duty effectively. So whether that be something that's encountered within the job or whether that be something that's encountered personally, as long as it has an impact and that public servant thinks they need that help, then yes, we provide that. So broadly, in addition to the response to the critical incidents, there's a whole range of other things, whether work-related or personal, that we see. There's really no limit to what may come to our door.
Excellent. And walk us through one of your sessions. How do you begin counseling? How do you begin engagement with a public servant who has suffered trauma, particularly related to violent crime?
Right. So one of the first things is establishing a rapport with the client. There's nothing I can do for the client. The client does not trust me or have some level of faith that I can help them. And then it's a matter of hearing their story, essentially, right? So you allow that client a space. And that's really and truly what a lot of people want. They just want to be able to have a safe space in which that they can share their story, be able to talk about the way that is impacting them. And that's what we provide. Right? This is not like a doctor's office where we prescribe medication and say, take this and do this to get cured. It's a journey. And I am more or less, for lack of a better word, I'm a guide. I'm walking it with you, but you're the one really doing the work. I'm just kind of allowing you the space to be able to safely process what's happening and make decisions that may be beneficial towards growth and overcoming what the challenges may be. right? So that may include normalizing the feelings that you're having, because a lot of people experience feelings and they think, I am alone in this. But part of the process might be letting them know that no, actually, there are lots of other people who experience what you're going through, and they will overcome it. So I have no doubt that you will be able to have that, be able to do that as well.
Yeah.
But again, um, therapy can be very unique, but at the end of the day, like I said, it's all about me walking with that client through their journey and helping them process.
Yeah, I will ask you in just a bit to share your expertise on how we can deal with a current day specific issue. But let me go back to Ms. Pierre-James. I think it's commendable that this initiative is being led by the state, an employee assistance program. I haven't heard of similar within our jurisdiction. I know it exists other places within the private sector, but it's nice that we're beginning here in the public sector. Is there really a place for such a program on? And I'm speaking here from the voice perhaps of an employer who employs people to do a job 8 to 4 or 9 to 5. Is the workplace really the location for such interventions, you think?
First of all, Shannon, I would say definitely every organization can benefit from having an EAP.
Nice.
Whether you choose to provide the services, the counseling support within the organization itself, but every single organization can benefit from such a program. We can understand that people experience a lot of challenges, and more so now. We're just coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, and what we would have seen that this would have done was to further highlight a lot of mental health challenges that people have been experiencing. So if you are going this way as an employer, very well, because your staff members can definitely benefit. And as Mr. Huggins mentioned earlier on, it is important for us to provide safe spaces for individuals to be able to process their emotions. Every single day in St. Lucia, you're hearing about some bad news. If it's not violent crime, it is loss, and people need that sort of support. And I foresee that this is going to be an ongoing thing. So by all means, I encourage organizations, go for it.
So
your staff members will definitely benefit from it.
So in essence, whereas it's termed the employee assistance program, you're also assisting with the development and strengthening of the business as well, and the establishment with such an intervention.
Definitely, because if you, Shannon, as an individual, if you're feeling well mentally, emotionally, psychologically, then that definitely impacts your productivity as an individual. And this is really what we do here at the EAP. We need to ensure that our public offices are in the right space. Many people are experiencing personal challenges, and we are here to provide that support. And I have to indicate that this counseling sessions are absolutely free.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent. And it's a it's a full-time service that you provide?
It is a full-time service.
Excellent.
If I may add a piece, an employee assistance program by its nature is not necessarily solely for psychological care. So organizations outside of public service who want to employ an EAP program within their organization can introduce other, because lots of other EAPs include elements of financial assistance, parenting, child support, all sorts of different areas. So it doesn't necessarily have to be limited to just psychological care.
I wanted to ask, and I'm happy that you went there, I wanted to ask the opportunity for your current EAP to be morphed into something which can accommodate to a large sector of public servants who perhaps have to leave the office, let's say about 2 o'clock, 2:30 to pick up the children, and most times they take them back to the office with them because there's no other option. How do you see the program morphing or developing into perhaps providing that sort of after-school support, after-school care program to the students of public officers?
Is that a question for me? Ms. James, go ahead.
Ms. James might want to tackle that one.
Yes, interesting. And of course, the public servants can benefit from such a program, but at the moment, this is not within our scope as an EAP. But it is, of course, an interesting idea and concept that who knows, perhaps when we envision the future of the public service and the EAP, this is something that might just pop up. But at the moment, as I highlighted, it does not fall within our scope. But I
Excellent.
have to also indicate to you, Shannon, we at our office in Union, we have a very therapeutic garden called the Tranquility Garden. So
Mm.
if when our clients do come in for their sessions, the children are engaged there.
Okay.
So yeah, this is
Nice.
what we provide at the moment.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for that. Mr. Huggins, quickly speak to your confidentiality approach because we know that you are dealing with some sensitive matters, and you want to assure public servants that when they come to the EAP, that their concerns will be held with the strongest confidentiality.
Well, to be clear, confidentiality is a priority, and when I mean a priority, it is number one list for an
Excellent.
EAP program. Um, Even if you are referred by a supervisor, management, or you go through your management team to come to the service, which is an option, or you could come to us directly. We do not send information reports or anything of the sort back to that office. So everything that is dealt with within that space remains in that space. Even if the councils themselves are discussing, we do not highlight information regarding any particular individuals. So even I would not know what the other councillors' cases are and whatnot. Is that confidential? So one area that I can say for sure that you don't have to worry about is confidentiality. Nothing that you say or produce within that space is going to end up anywhere else except for that space.
Excellent, excellent. There have been numerous success stories, Ms. Pierre-James. You've been around for 2016. As we come from 2016, as we conclude, what is your vision and your hope for the EAP?
My vision for the EAP is to see it expand in such a way where we are able to respond immediately, all of the time, immediately to the many calls and the many requests that we are getting. I also envision that we can provide telehealth services on a 24-hour basis because we have recognized that whilst we operate from 8 to 4:30 most times, although we exceed these hours, public officers do require the support outside of the working hours. So I'm hoping that we can expand to that degree where that sort of support can be provided.
Excellent. I look forward to that. Just hold for me, Ms. James. Mr. Huggins, I must question you. And a viewer just reminded me. The case of Nurse Wilson, she leaves behind an 11-year-old daughter. How do we even begin the counseling process with this innocent girl?
Well, it's difficult, it's challenging, but I believe something has been put in place for her. And grief is one of those things in the first instance, you just have to experience it. It's like getting a physical wound. Immediately the pain is true, but you have to allow some time. And once you're able to process and think about, you get a handle on your feelings, then you can go through therapy or other sexual support to be able to visualize or get some comfort or peace. But it's one of those things where it's a long time to go through. It's not like grief can be done in 2 months, 3 months, sometimes years down the line. So she will feel pain, no doubt, just as everybody else is. But as long as she has support, both within her family and if she can get a professional support through a therapist as well, she should be able to overcome and manage. I have no doubt that and based on what I hear about the impact that this lady has had in terms of people she's touched, I'm sure that she has the support that will be able to help her.
Absolutely, but at that age, and that's the last segment. At that age, it's a lot more difficult coping with that trauma.
It can be difficult to understand and accept. But like I said, with the support, I'm sure
Excellent.
she'll be fine.
Excellent. Mr. Huggins, very good representation this morning. I want to thank you, Councillor, for coming on. Robert Huggins of the EAP and Ms. Sacha Pierre-James of the EAP. She's the manager of the Employee Assistance Program. Well done to you both. Sacha, just satisfy my my mental faculty there. 2016, the EAP, brainchild of Dr. Jimmy Fletcher, correct?
Could you repeat that, please, Shannon?
2016, the EAP, a brainchild of Dr. Jimmy Fletcher. I'm just trying to see if my memory is still intact.
That information does not sound correct, not at all.
It does not. All right. Thanks a lot for that.
But just before
I'm getting old. I give you a last minute, sure.
It's a senior moment.
Yes.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Just to permit me to advertise our upcoming men's fair that's happening tomorrow at the St.Lucia Administrative Building car park, and it's under the theme helping men and boys. We would have just observed International Men's Day on November 19th, Saturday, and in observance of International Men's Day, we are hosting a men's fair tomorrow, and there is a lot in store for our men, so I'd like to encourage our men to come out. There will be entertainment. We have the likes of Arthur Allen, Nintus McGray, Oompa from Denry segment, AJ, and a lot of other artists, and we will be offering stress relief and relaxation activities, mental health tips, and so many more. So I am hoping to see all of our men, and perhaps you too, Shannon, can stop by and visit us.
I'll definitely be there. That's tomorrow. Graham Louis, the administrative building, you say, and it begins some more time.
Car park.
The car park.
From 10 to 3 p.m.
From 10 to 3. Men, let's show up. Let's make it a lime, and let's be a part of this special activity in commemoration and celebration of Men's Day. Sacha, I want to see it a lot closer to Men's Day next year. It almost looked like we forgot the men. But we will again keep promoting it.
Shannon, we at the EAP, we've not forgotten the men, because from September 1st until the end of October, we have been hosting a series of men's mental health retreats. And we did this centralizer service. So we have not forgotten our men. So
before we end today, we'll give it a plug again, and tomorrow morning we'll be sure to remind all men. But thanks for coming on, Ms. Pierre-James and Mr. Huggins. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
It's our pleasure. From the Employee Assistance Program being administered by the Department of Public Service, my guest this hour, Sacha Pierre-James, the EAP manager, and Mr. Robert Huggins, counselor attached to this very important program. Don, just play the Christmas jingle for me, and you can come right back. Let's conclude this morning's program.